Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ Review, number 269 on this Sunday evening. I am Virtue, the moderator, being joined by this week's elite panel of the review. Of course, Aaron Rift is here. The reliable Walter Cruz is here. Jerry Slaughter has returned, as well as the renegade J.J. Williams. Gentlemen, what's going up? JJ, I will start with you. What's up, man? And I will make sure when you are on the floor, I will smack whoever tries to talk over you. I know I'm bad at that, but go ahead. What is up, man? I'm glad you're back.
It's good to be back for
favorites.
Thank
you. But I
you.
don't want to insult anybody else.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's good to be back here on the No DQ Review, episode 269. Good to be on the panel here. You know, Walter, see him quite frequently over on the open mic night side of things. Jerry, it's good to be alongside you. It's not very often we get to interact. Aaron Virtue, thank you for having me back. And I know we got some cool topics to discuss today, so let's get down to it.
Stay tuned. I'll be back to you soon. All right, Jerry Slaughter, what is going on? You coming to us from Kentucky? I can never remember where you live.
Oh, yeah. The semi-luxurious city of Elizabethtown, Kentucky. We still have a little bit of ice in my neighborhood, but otherwise the roads are relatively clear. My shift got canceled for tonight, so I was like, you know what? The second I found out that my shift's canceled, I was like, hey, put me on the review. And you guys were like, nobody else said anything yet, so you're in.
Well, stay tuned, Jerry. We got some good topics, and we'll be back to you shortly. All right, Walter, I know you're like, let's go. So anything you want to say?
No, just thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm definitely ready to go.
Okay. Well, stay tuned as well. Good to have you back. And Aaron Rift, what's up?
Did you guys notice emojis a moment ago on my screen?
Yeah, balloons.
Yeah.
I did, balloons.
Something like that.
Those were kind of weird.
There you go. Is it your birthday? No.
I guess if you do the peace sign, you get balloons. And then if you do the thumbs up, hold it for wait, let's see if it does it. I think you have to hold it for a while. It's not working.
It might only be the host. Anyways,
Aaron. Weird. I was just I was a little thrown off by that.
You made it look ridiculous.
The Cleaver Colin Andrews sent in $2. Say it with him. Jerry.
Jerry.
Usually I hate that chant, but now I'm just kind of leaning into it, so it's whatever.
Nice.
All right. Now, Virtue, I'm not sure what you had in mind for our first topic. By the way, we are less than a week from the Royal Rumble now. We are doing predictions Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, 1 hour before NXT. For anybody wondering out there, I know Sean in the chat room asked. We're going to have Greg over from the United Kingdom on with us this coming Tuesday. We're going to have Rhonda Shane on. So we're going to have an international flavor for Rumble predictions this year.
Right.
And Virtue, I'm not sure if this was going to be your first topic, but CM Punk isn't the greatest thing since sliced bread. Sent in a $5 super chat, says, if they sign him in time, could we get Okada versus CM Punk at WrestleMania? I don't think so, because I think Seth Rollins is going to face CM Punk unless he cannot make it in time, which my gut feeling is he will, but we'll talk more about that later. And we'll talk about Okada too, like if he went to WWE, who is he potentially going to face at WrestleMania? Stay tuned for that. Thank you for that super chat. And I do think CM Punk is the greatest thing since sliced bread, so I do disagree with you on that. Otherwise, thank you for the super chat.
Okay, so we will talk about Seth Rollins' injury and the potential, ramifications it has in our main event tonight. But first, since that super chat brought up Okada, he is leaving New Japan at the end of this month. And you know what? They do that, whether, he's been over here in the States before, but it's like short term, goes back over there. But say he comes over here and works a contract X amount of years. He's young enough. What he's doing is setting up his return in the future to New Japan. And that's going to be a huge deal. So he's coming over here really to set up that for him. And why not make some money along the way? So as a WWE, we've heard that Triple H could be interested in him AEW seems like a sure bet. You can't even rule out TNA. This is Okada. This is one of those 5-star match Meltzer guys, Japanese wrestlers. Does he have the charisma of what it takes to perform here in the States? What does everybody think about Okada? Jerry, you are up first in the leadoff spot.
Well, I think Okada is one of those types that a lot of people know him. Naturally, he was ranked number 1 in PWI 500 a couple of years ago. Plus, he's just had a legendary career in a very short amount of time. Do I think he's going to go to WWE? Probably not. But even less of a chance at AEW at this point, because I think New Japan sees AEW not really as an unsafe environment or just unstable is more or less the case. But it wouldn't shock me at all if he actually did go to Impact. He just had a match with where he teamed up with Motor City Machine Guns there, and actually commented the fact that the backstage environment is so much better, and he is treated so much better than he was when Dixie Carter was in charge. Scott D'Amore knows how to treat talent there, and if he can start off as a big fish in kind of a smaller pond and still get Brady Wise put back on the new TNA product and become pretty much become their cornerstone for a while there, at least get them back off the ground, running a good start. That's not the worst thing on the planet. I mean, Trinity, or Naomi, what you want to call her at this point, she did great for the women's division, getting the eyes on that and bringing the eyes back over the Impact. And they're like, guess what? We're going back to being TNA. And that brought even more eyes back to it. I think more and more focus going back over there just for their backstage environment, their in-ring work and everything. And I think there's a good chance Okada could see that as a chance of a big fish, him at this point, not just going into a small pond, but expanding the pond. And there's more of a chance of him actually working a shorter contract there and then going for bigger money elsewhere if he wants to. So I wouldn't put it past him to start off in the relaunch of TNA and then head over into WWE or possibly AEW. But more, I think at this point, Triple H is trying to gear more of the Asian talent into into better spots. Damage Control is getting booked better. Shinsuke's promo work and his in-ring work, he's gotten a lot more to do on the Raw, which has been fantastic. I think he's trying to just woo Okada over there. But it's going to take a little bit more than that to actually put him over there to make sure he gets the spot that he deserves.
Now, thank you, Jerry. JJ, correct me if I'm wrong if you know this. I could swear that before he got real big in New Japan, that Okada was over here in TNA, and it didn't work out. I don't know if it was borderline Russo era or whatever, but I remember him, I think, being there. Remember the Young Bucks were in TNA, Generation
he
was
there. He was there for a short time.
That was before he started to have the big main eventing of New Japan. So what's your thoughts, JJ?
That was pre the Rainmaker era, and I don't remember him in TNA, but I've had a few people tell me it was kind of right after the Hogan era, which was dark times for TNA. So I like Okada. I think he's a hell of a talent. I definitely would prefer to see him in WWE. My issue is, would they allow him to continue being Okada, or would they try to rebrand him, repackage him? A lot of people are talking in the chat room about Okada versus Nakamura, and while that would be a hell of a match, I was saying last night when we brought this up on Open Mic Night that I'd actually like to see the two of them as a team together. And especially with the promo work that Nakamura has been doing lately, you put the two of them together as a tag team and let them just run the tag division for a little bit. Kind of build him up working with some of these other guys in WWE before they have their splinter feud and then he can go on that big star run that Okada deserves. Matches like Okada Punk, Okada and Gunther, Okada versus Rollins. There would be some great stuff over there. I know AEW is like the odds-on favorite for him right now because the working relationship that they have with New Japan. And they do tend to do some of the New Japan guys a little bit better than they do the WWE cast-offs. But I'd be afraid of Okada sitting in catering after 6 months.
Right.
Because they have too bloated of a roster. Unless they're going to separate rosters, do a brand split, LOL, like WWE did, and have a Collision roster and a Dynamite roster and actually do what they were supposed to do, then maybe you could book it a little bit better, send a certain roster just for Ring of Honor, because I'm tired of seeing Ring of Honor talent defending belts on Dynamite and everything. It's like, isn't that what the Ring of Honor show is for? Do that on that show. Get these guys off my television. TNA is another good one, though. I mean, with the match that he's having with the Guns, that granted it's already been taped, will air this week, but I definitely see some promise with him going over in TNA. And like Jerry said, Scott D'Amore could definitely use a guy like Okada to help bring the international exposure to the TNA product, maybe help get them a better TV deal as well. You think about matches like Okada versus Josh Alexander, that would be a banner, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I look at the bigger picture, and WWE truly has become the global leader since the Triple H era began. We think about all the overseas pay-per-views they've been doing. I know Hunter wants to do something in the Tokyo Dome. And something with Okada and Nakamura could definitely be that missing piece that gets them over there to the Tokyo Dome to sell that out.
Okada versus Reigns. Settle it once and for all. Me and Jargo had a debate over that a couple years ago. So that would be very interesting, JJ. All right, JJ, great insight there. Anything else you want to add? Walter's chomping at the bit here. All right, Walter. I think it's going to be a slam dunk to AEW because I think Tony Khan has one of his EVPs who's out right now medically, who has time to reflect, self-reflect, look at his career, what it was 5 years ago, what it's become, and he's missing a guy. He's missing a tango partner. Kenny Omega is, to me, talking to Tony Khan, going to convince him to give Okada whatever it takes to bring him over, let him get established in AEW while Kenny recovers, and they're going to pick up. I'm telling you, because Kenny Omega has not been the same since he's been gone from New Japan. He had a little run there in AEW, but that magic that he had has probably put him in bad shape physically because of all the wrestling that he did. I think that Okada is a slam dunk to go to AEW, and the EVPs, not just Kenny Omega, but the Young Bucks, they're going to talk Tony into bringing this guy over. I know it's obvious, but in this situation, I feel confident with my decision on where he's going to go. What do you think, Walter?
I think he's got the luxury. Okada's got luxury that not everybody has, where he can sit back and wait for the phone calls to come in to him. He doesn't have to sell himself because he'll be highly in demand. And New Japan does have a relationship with AEW, so it may be easier to be convinced that he's going to go there. But pretty much a lot of the people he faces in AEW, it's like been there, seen that. All it is a different arena and a different company. But most of those matchups we already saw. Like, I'd rather see a bunch of new stuff that we haven't seen before or haven't seen in a long time. Like JJ said with Nakamura, and I would love him to team up and start. Like, I'd be hyping for a foreign heel Japanese like Mafia group where they just got to go out there and speak Japanese and they don't need to speak English and get heat. So, and that was a good idea JJ said about selling out the Tokyo Dome. WWE would do that in a heartbeat if they get Okada, Nakamura, and all these people on the same page and see who else they can sign. They got a lot of Japanese females, but the issue is, will he get treated the same in WWE? Because it seems like every time they got a foreign person, they try to make them this foreign heel and the same old storyline that we've been seeing for the last 30 years. It's like the foreign heel against the American, then it dies out and then fizzles out in like 6-7 months. So we'll see. But like I said last night, the world is his oyster. I'm just glad to see him as a free agent, and 2024 is shaping up to be a good year. So I just want to see where he goes. I'm gonna speculate WWE. I know that you're saying AEW is the obvious choice, but because that the New Japan relationship, but I think WWE can pull that out. They're just gonna throw money at him, and they got that luxury.
And
to
Tony
do
Khan won't.
He won't. But
this is another
yeah,
situation
he will.
where
He will too.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we get to see where Okada goes, right? Some people think WWE, some people think AEW. Then he's going to show up in one of the two, and we'll just continue the discussion then. But Okada, I know there's some people out there. I was kind of waiting to see in the chat. Oh, it won't matter. He's Japanese, and he'll flood or he'll drown wherever he goes. Look what they've done to Nakamura in WWE. You know, New Japan's niche. So, you know, people are saying that as well. But, you know, Okada's over with that wrestling fan base that AEW caters to. So, I don't know. Aaron, what do you think here?
We do have a few super chats. I will get to those real quick, and then I'll give my thoughts on this. Certainly, it's been a newsworthy topic that people have been talking about. Mr. Tito wrote a column which was quite controversial. And I will comment on that in a second. I know, surprising, right?
Way.
Super chat here from Psycho Jet Black. Jerry. I'm not going to say the rest, but he's a Jerry fan. Thank you for that, Psycho Jet Black. Welcome back this week. We missed you, Psycho Jet Black. And speaking of Mr. Tito, he sent in a $2 super chat and says, "Be careful what you say about AEW cancel culture." Well,
now, hey, go. Well, Aaron, you know the negativity NoDQ gets like anti-AEW, and that's not the case. I just put Okada going to AEW right there. Isn't that a positive thing for AEW fans? Right? So go ahead, and I know you're going to kind of want to elaborate on that.
All right. So Mr. Tito wrote this column, and a lot of people took it as anti-AEW. I think Tito was just trying to make this opinion that Okada would do better in WWE. And then, of course, some people are like, the only person that knows what's best for Okada is Okada, and people shouldn't be trying to tell him where he should go, which ultimately is true. I mean, at the end of the day, Okada should go where he is going to be happy, where he is going to make the most money. Now, will WWE offer more money than AEW? That's hard to say. I think there is an image that sums up all of this where you are going to see Okada, and I'm going to throw it up right now. This is the image. This tells you all you need to know. Although Okada's face, you could look at his face here, and he's like, what is going on here? But look at Tony Khan. You're telling me Tony Khan's not going to pull up that truck of millions of dollars at Okada's door? You know Tony Khan will probably match whatever WWE is willing to offer Okada. Here's my take on it. I think that Okada's safest bet is AEW. He's already been established there. He's already wrestled a lot of the guys there. He can have his 5-star matches. He can be a top guy in AEW. And yes, the roster is bloated. They have a lot of people under contract, but I still think that he will be a top guy if he goes to AEW. Now, WWE is more of a crapshoot. It's a big question mark. It's a risk. But I think WWE would be a greater reward if he was successful in WWE. And I think he would be successful in WWE. Number one, it's a different era. And I wanted to say this too about people like Shinsuke Nakamura. I see all these comments, people saying if Okada goes to WWE, he's going to get buried like Shinsuke Nakamura and all this. I think Shinsuke's had a hell of a run in WWE. This might be an unpopular opinion. I think he's done pretty damn good for himself. A guy with limited English coming to the United States and connecting with the WWE audience. And I think a lot of it is due to his charisma. Like, he just has a great personality. But he has been successful. Has he been world champion? No. But he won the Royal Rumble. He beat John Cena. How many people can say they beat John Cena? Not too many. That's a big deal. And this was under Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon allowed Nakamura to get a win over John Cena. That's huge. And while he hasn't been a world champion and he hasn't had 5-star matches, he's been on television for a good portion of his run in WWE, going back to 2016. He's sometimes been in a supporting role or putting over other people, but he's always been a factor on WWE television. I think Okada would do better than Nakamura. I think Okada would have an AJ Styles like run in WWE. I think that he would potentially be a world champion. Like, I don't think he's not going to be the guy that they build the company around. That's not going to happen. But he could potentially be the biggest Japanese star in the history of WWE. I think he would have a similar run as like an AJ Styles. Maybe he wins a world title at some point, but he would be towards the top of the card. He would be on the premium live events on a regular basis, and he'd probably be able to go out there and have great matches. Like, you could put him in there with Gunther, and I think that they could have a really awesome match. I think you could put him in there with Seth Rollins. You could put him in there with AJ Styles, with Finn Balor. He would have a whole new crew of people to work with, so it would be different, but it is a risk. I think it's a bigger risk than AEW, and when it comes to money, I think AEW will probably match whatever WWE is willing to offer. And, you know, I think that's one way that WWE is maybe not different, because in Vince McMahon's era, he'd be more about giving you the opportunity. And then if you succeed, you can make a lot of money. And I think that's going to be how it is now. I think like they're going to be like, we're going to give you the opportunity, but AEW, Tony Khan, they can just throw the money out there. And you saw that picture. You know, Tony Khan as a fan loves Okada and will do anything possible to sign him. So that's his decision. I think whatever he does, he's going to be successful. I think he's going to have a great run regardless of where he goes. And my guess is AEW, if I had to make a bet.
Who did Danielson wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom? Didn't he wrestle there?
Yes.
Who did he wrestle again?
Okada.
Who's in AEW?
Right, and they had that match at Forbidden Door and then the rematch. So, you know, there's always room for another match with those guys. And yeah, there's you know, it's familiar territory in AEW, but I would say he ends up going there if I had to make a prediction on it. Now, Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat and says, can Okada get over in WWE without English promos? I think so. I mean, I don't think every guy needs to be a great promo, and we've seen it with Nakamura. If you got the personality and you're really good in the ring, you can overcome that. I mean, remember, Sting didn't wrestle for a year, and he was more over in that year than he was at any point prior. Look at Goldberg. When Goldberg had the streak, like, he barely talked for those first 7 or 8 months of the streak. So it's not something that has to be done. And I think in this era, the Triple H era, he's got a better shot than during the Vince era. But I think he's got enough personality that he could be successful. Walter?
I just wanted to ask, if he signs, do you think he skips NXT and goes straight main roster, or they'll make him go through the system to learn WWE style?
He'll be on the main roster. It'll be like AJ Styles. Like, they would put him right in there in the mix. You know, I think he's one guy that they would have skip NXT.
And to prove my point, which, you know, it's like I win every game of chess on this show against the chat. You have an AEW, you know, Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, Jay White, all there, all guys who wrestled New Japan. And then you have Tito. I don't know if he was referring to someone in the chat or me. Oh, why would Okada come wrestle the same guys again? You're the guy that says New Japan is niche and nobody cares about New Japan coming over to the States on U.S. television. It's all brand new again. Duh! Checkmate. I win again. I'm the master, the great NoDQ debate champion. So, yeah.
I have quick.
Now, yes, a lot of AEW fan base watches New Japan, but not all of them. And there's some other wrestling eyeballs of the WWE brand that doesn't watch AEW. Why not bring more wrestlers over that they don't even know about, that they might tune on? Remember, Aaron, I always said, bring somebody to AEW that would even get people that don't like it to tune in to look for something bad, because then you don't know, some of those people might stay and become a fan. So Okada's another wrestling name you throw in the bubble. Here in the States, he has to get over here first. He's been here a few times, but it's completely new when you're over here. What you've done in Japan, to me, is out the window, other than with the niche.
Well, fair enough. And another person to look at is Asuka too. She's done very well, and same thing with Kairi Sane, same thing with Io Sky. They've all done well. So just because you're Japanese doesn't mean that you can't succeed in WWE. And if anything, they bring something different to the table. It's good to have the diversity and have some different people from different styles of wrestling, different parts of the world. It's good to have that mix. So
you got Joe, Adam Cole, who's injured, MJF. Wow, that's a lot. That's new, fresh opponents for. I don't know who Okada's wrestled and hasn't wrestled. Moxley. AEW to me makes the most sense, and you said it too, Aaron. So I guess we will see where he goes.
I think what they could also benefit from is possibly making him the cornerstone for the Ring of Honor brand. Like,
Ring of Honor too.
No, I mean, like if they're going to do something like that, and they're actually going to try to get Ring of Honor a legit TV deal or something like that, then you have you're actually able to make that brand split. You're able to make that roster. You'll be able to build at least one person around it, like they were trying to do for a while there, but it's kind of get lost in the shuffle. I sometimes still forget who's actually Ring of Honor champion at this point. That's how muddled the Ring of Honor / AEW roster is at this point. Is I forget who Ring of Honor champion is, and that's not good.
All right, that was half our first topic, Aaron. Anything else before we move on?
Yeah. Psycho Jet Black sent in a few more. First of all, he wanted to give a shout out to Walter, the one and only Walter, because now that Gunther changed his name, Walter is the only Walter in wrestling that I'm aware of. So there you go. And Psycho Jet Black said with $2, Psycho Jet Black is definitely back this week in the house. He says, if Vince McMahon was in charge, it would be Okada versus Baron Corbin. I mean, you're probably right. I mean, I hate to say it. I know it's a joke, but I don't feel like that's too far off from the truth. But hey, you know what? In Baron Corbin's defense, I don't think he'd be the worst first opponent for Okada. That would be a good thing to establish Okada. Corbin would be a great heel to put him over. I think Corbin would be fine as a first opponent. I know we joke about it and we say, Corbin, but Corbin gets a lot of hate that I think is unfair because of the gimmicks he's had and the timing of when he had the gimmicks, but I would be fine with it.
He's a great gateway wrestler is what he is. Pretty much bringing people into a company or just a good launching pad for feuds and whatnot. If you need some sort of filler feud or a feud just to bring in some either foreign talent or a talent from a different company, Baron Corbin's a pretty safe bet to actually do it.
Psycho Jet Black also sent in a $2 super chat, so thank you for the super chats. He said, would people watch AEW if the Young Bucks were fired by Tony Khan? I don't think it would matter one way or another. People that are going to watch AEW are going to watch whether the Young Bucks are there or not. I don't think they would
I love what the Young Bucks are doing right now. They're being the jerks that they're pegged out to be, and that's fantastic. I hope they keep on going with it.
I'd be a lot quicker to tune in if the Bucks were gone. That's for damn sure.
Fair enough.
We're good, Aaron.
We're caught up.
All right. JJ, I'm going to start with you on this topic. So Royal Rumble soon, and one of the odds-on favorite to win is Cody Rhodes because he's got to complete a story. And the story that everybody wants is for him to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania to become the champion. So I'm going to ask you and everybody this, but you first. What exactly should Cody Rhodes' story be? We all, like everybody has the one set picture. But, you know, you throw The Rock in the mix and that could change WrestleMania. So the story could be altered a little bit or delayed. Go ahead, JJ. Let's see how consistent we all are. I'm going to start with you. What exactly should his story be to you?
Well, I know everybody was set on Cody Roman too. And The Rock being potentially added to the mix, that definitely throws a wrench in that booking. But Cody's theme music, before the beat drops, always says wrestling has more than one royal family. And while the Anoa'i family may be the goats when it comes to lineage in the sport, there's a lot of other families that have history within professional wrestling. You think about the Harts, you think about the Rhodeses, you know. Why not the Ortons? Cody came in and after his little run with Hardcore Holly, which was what it was, pretty much became a student under the tree of Randy Orton with Legacy. So it could very much be and I'm not using this comparison as, you know, saying that Cody is a villain or anything, but it very much could be a Darth Vader Obi-Wan situation where now the student has become the master. And Cody defeating Randy Orton to become champion at WrestleMania is very much a possibility because we all keep saying that Rock Roman doesn't need the title.
Yep.
So I think that would actually be a better story than him conquering Roman, is him defeating his former mentor.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So that's your take on this. And feel free, raise your hand, right? Raise it up so we can see it if something else comes about as everybody else lists there. JJ, I like that. But let's go to you, Walter, because we'll make Jerry wait on this one.
Yeah. I don't think the story was ever about Roman per se. The story is about getting the championship that his dad was never able to do. So it doesn't matter who holds the championship. And I like JJ's idea. I think you want to get the title off Roman without him losing. You have Randy Orton win the Fatal 4-Way. You have Cody win the Chamber as opposed to the Rumble. And then there they go. That's the main event of WrestleMania night 1. And then night 2, or not, I'm sorry, not night 1. Night 2 has to be, all right, wait, I just screwed myself over because if The Rock and Roman is there, that's got to be the main event of night 2, and Punk's got to be the main event of night 1. You got to do Cody and Randy Orton as not the main event. Maybe the match before the main event. And then that's how you got to do it. Cody doesn't have to be in the main event to finish the story as long as the story's finished. So I say he could win the Chamber and he could fight Randy. I like that idea, JJ, where you got Randy win Fatal 4-Way that takes the title off Roman, because all of us have always said Roman versus Rock doesn't need that title. The title of tribal chief is their title. That means more to the Samoan dynasty. Like it's Vince Diesel movie, family. It's all about that. It's all about family. That means more than anything. Go ahead, JJ.
It's all about who the true head of the table is.
Mm-hmm.
See, everybody has. All right, so are you good, Walter?
Yeah.
Jerry, this preconceived notion, because it was supposed to happen last year, that it's got to be Cody beating Roman at WrestleMania. And again, that still very well could be what happens. But like, why? Like, I'm just trying to figure out why people like that's how it has to be, because that's what we all thought, because that's the news that we were given was going to happen, but it didn't. You know what I mean? So what do you think here, Jerry?
I think in the long run, morals of stories kind of change after a bit. I think Cody walked in with the intention of, getting the belt that his dad never had, the world title. But I think the true moral of the story is you don't need the WWE title to be considered to be a legend to add any kind of solidarity to your legacy. I think it's all in your opposition, how you handle yourself as a wrestler, and how you handle yourself as a talent that truly makes yourself a legend and gets you remembered and gets you revered. Dusty Rhodes, yeah, he never won the WWE title, but he won titles elsewhere, built a solid fan base. Hell, they even had a family named after him for Married with Children. The dude's name was everywhere, and you can't he's one of the people that are synonymous with wrestling, but never won that title. So who's to say Cody never wins it? Is it gonna tarnish his legacy at all? No. Is him constantly going for it and failing for it constantly? Yeah, people are going to start associating that with just him not being able to win the big one. That would suck. But if he's building the talent for the future, or just building a better brand with WWE and just inspiring hope among fans and bringing fans in, I think that makes him better than anything that could be a WWE champion. That's an ambassador. That's somebody that can, carry the company without ever even really holding a title. That's something you really don't see very often, but I think that's the moral of the story is the fact that you can achieve greatness and not have gold around your waist.
That's true. That's true. And look, Cody, he came back to WWE. They've already let him win the Rumble, face Roman, and his name is still in the hat. He beat Brock in a series of matches, like in a feud. So he's the odds-on favorite to get his story completed. Whether it's WrestleMania, SummerSlam, he's going to have his big moment. The fans are all going to be happy for it. And isn't it always about the chase, Aaron? Go ahead. I'll let you go now. To me, WWE's always made their best business about it being the chase.
Well, that is true. And I agree with Sean Garner, though. I do not think Roman Reigns is losing at the Royal Rumble. Now, the fact that people are even talking about it as a possibility makes me think that they absolutely made the right decision to make that match a fatal four-way instead of a one-on-one match. Now, I expect Cody to finish the story sometime this year. I just don't know if it's going to be WrestleMania because that depends on The Rock. Could they do a triple threat? Maybe, but I think the money is in the one-on-one match. That's what people want to see. They want to see Rock versus Roman Reigns, the whole tribal chief thing, and Cody being in there kind of would take away from that. And of course, the other argument is that Roman and The Rock don't need the title, but I just don't see Roman losing it at the Royal Rumble. So that means either you do Rock and Reigns at WrestleMania or you do it at the Elimination Chamber, which again, I don't know if that's going to happen just because of the time. Like it's starting at 5 p.m. As it turns out, it is in fact starting at 5 p.m. Eastern on the East Coast, which means the main event would be at about 8 a.m. So you have to ask yourself, will The Rock really have a match against Roman Reigns at 8 o'clock in the morning on a premium live event? Like, it could happen. I mean, if the money's there and Australia makes a big enough bid, like you can't rule anything out. But my gut feeling is it's Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I don't know what that means for Cody other than maybe Roman Reigns makes it to SummerSlam. Maybe he beats Hogan. I mean, Virtue, we had talked about it before, and now I think there's a realistic chance that Roman Reigns stays champion even through SummerSlam to beat Hogan's record, because if he gets to SummerSlam, we might have mentioned this last week, like then if he gets through WrestleMania, then the temptation is going to be, well, now maybe we should have him stay champion until SummerSlam. And, it has to be after SummerSlam. So we might not see the story finish until Survivor Series. Maybe they do it at Madison Square Garden after SummerSlam.
Yeah.
JJ?
My only issue with Roman keeping the title till Mania, and the reason why I feel like the possibility of him losing at the Rumble can be a strong one to counter you, is that if Rockin' Roman is for the title, I think there's no doubt in anybody's mind that Roman walks out the victor. But if the title isn't on the line, then The Rock theoretically could beat Roman.
I mean, anything's possible, man.
I think that's what really is like sticking in my mind, is like, if you want there to be believability that Roman is going to lose his seat as the head of the table, there can't be a title on the line. He can't be champion going in. And in fact, he even looks more vulnerable because he already lost the title. Is like, can he at least defeat his family to prove his claim of being the true tribal chief?
Yeah.
Or does he fall there too?
Yeah, I just find it hard to believe that Roman Reigns will lose the title before WrestleMania. I just can't imagine it. And Virtue, we've said this before, like, you can't bet against Roman, especially if it's not at WrestleMania. Like it's I don't know if I can do it or not.
Hey,
And,
Aaron,
like-
maybe Hogan saved this girl so he can get his name back in the headline, so that it'd be like, okay, maybe Roman shouldn't catch up to Hogan.
You know, they
Get his
brought
name back out there.
They brought the world title that Rollins has because Roman has the title that he defends less than 12 times a year. I would absolutely believe Rock could beat Roman for the title at WrestleMania and then not defend it again until SummerSlam or something like that. I totally would believe they could. Rock did a two-match program with Cena.
Mm-hmm.
I would believe that but I get it. Wrestling fans who really like know the business and whatever, no, it's not going to happen. Rock's a Hollywood movie star. So yeah, you know, but I would suspend my disbelief that WWE could pull it off and The Rock would agree to a second match. But I don't know. That's just me. Because Nick Khan's that great of a businessman. Yeah. That's why I would believe it. But not many people would.
Either way, it's interesting, and we're definitely all invested in this to see where it goes. And you know, that ultimately is the key to success, is to keep people guessing and have a lot of twists and turns leading up to WrestleMania. But anyways, we're caught up, Virtue. So unless anybody's got anything else, we'll move on.
Walter, you first on this one. Should Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, return to WWE in the Royal Rumble, since that's coming up soon? Or like rumors, another person to AEW in that great women's division, which, Toni Storm, there's some promising stuff over there. And Mercedes there could add to it. But she's always been known by Sasha Banks in the wrestling world to that level. She wasn't happy, but guess when she wasn't happy, who was in charge? Guess who's in charge now? And we still don't know where this woman is going. Walter, Royal Rumble season. What do you think? The huge pop if it happens, right?
Yeah, we've seen bigger.
Isn't she from Florida? Isn't it in Tampa Bay? Royal Rumble?
Is she from Florida?
I thought she was. I don't know. Florida or California?
I'm not sure.
Florida, California. What's the difference?
We've seen stranger things, so we'll see. So why the hell not? Let her come back, but will it backfire? Are WWE fans forgiving enough that she walked out on them? Do people hold grudges? Who knows? But it's the biggest company. Response. Yeah, that's true. It's the biggest company, so why not? Yeah, she's from Boston. Because they made a big deal about that when she was in. She's from Boston. But I say yeah. But are you gonna and then it's a good thing we talked about this last night that WWE didn't announce a bunch of the people that are involved. So hopefully they keep it that way, like we all said, JJ, and we can get a Sasha return, a Trinity return, and get multiple surprises. So I'm all for it. She wants to come back, let her come back, and maybe they'll actually give her a title run where she can defend the title this time, because it seems like every time she won the title, she never got to defend it. It was like her first title defense. She lost the title. I think maybe once she successfully defended it, the SmackDown title. Every other time she had the title, she lost it. She never got to actually defend it. So I'm all for it. I'm all for people just being happy. If coming back to WWE makes you happy, then be happy and come back. If not, go somewhere else. But she's got options, so she made herself a bigger star. By leaving and coming back, she did raise her stock a little bit, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm for it. She can return if she wants to return.
I mean, bigger star. I mean, I don't know. The WWE makes these people stars, and then, I mean, Cody, he went and made himself a bigger star in the wrestling bubble, and it worked for him. Punk was already a star. Like, I don't know, man, because she's how many matches has she had? Just the New Japan stuff,
Yeah,
and then she got hurt. Like,
yeah.
and it's like she's trying to make herself look like a bigger star and sitting in the boxes and watching at these events, but it still has to pan out. And WWE is a safe bet for her, like AEW is for Okada. That's all I'm saying. Jerry, go ahead on this. I'll make JJ wait.
I think, and this is some of Jerry's fantasy booking, which is always fun. I think Dakota somehow cost Bailey the Royal Rumble. Like maybe she like low bridges her or something and she falls out of the ring. And then from there, you have Bailey get kicked out of Damage Control. Like Asuka, Io, Kyrie, they all just jump the crap out of her. And then, which you don't really get a lot of surprise returns on Raw or SmackDown anymore. That's where you unleash Trinity and you bring back Sasha Banks on just a random show. Just bring them both back, and then you have a 6-woman tag at WrestleMania. Asuka, Io, and Kairi Sane versus the returning Naomi, Sasha Banks, and Bailey. And I think that'd be a fantastic, like probably a mid-card match, or at least, hell, maybe like probably close to main event on first night of WrestleMania. So I think that'd be a really cool ratings pop for TV if Sasha Banks just shows back up on WWE television. Triple H back in charge. It's highly possible. And with Trinity or Naomi moving back to WWE as well, and them not really wanting to put her in a bloodline, if Naomi pops back up on WWE television first, and they say they have one other person that they're going to have joining up with them, people are going to be tuning in. They're going to be waiting for Sasha Banks music to hit and just to go nuts. So that would be just a great, just televised moment. That's going to bring more people back to live shows. That's going to bring like a bunch more eyes back to, just that, and the television deals are still kind of up here at this point. And they need that kind of pop. They need to show that they can bring people onto television and not just, bring people back on PLEs. So her returning to WWE television before she reappears in like a PLE makes a little more sense to me.
Okay. Fair enough. And now we're going to get JJ's take here on where Sasha Banks should go. I mean, Royal Rumble's coming up, and WWE loves those pops, but probably not an easy get. But again, Nick Khan and the Triple H era, I'm sure she's open to negotiations more than she was a year ago. Go ahead.
I agree with just about everything that Jerry said. The only difference is instead of a 3-on-3, I see it as a 4-on-4. I feel like the original plan was for it to be the 4 horsewomen versus Damage Control. From everything I'm reading, Dakota Kai is almost ready to be back. So she very easily could be back and cleared by Mania. And then you would have had the 4 horsewomen with Bailey having been turned on and reuniting with Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha returning. With Charlotte being injured, I could very easily see Naomi returning and taking that spot as well. Granted, it wouldn't have quite the same effect as the 4 horsewomen, but to have Sasha and Naomi back at the same time, considering they walked out together, I think would be a good pop return as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not Sasha's biggest fan. I agree with some of the people in the chat room that she's kind of overrated, but I think it would be a big coup to come back home in this situation, especially considering her longtime bestie Bailey is more than likely, going to get turned on here pretty soon. And just bringing her out to reunite with Bailey, it'd be a great come up, I think. Great storytelling.
All right. And, that's WWE always liking to put things together from the past. So you guys all made some great points. Now we'll let Aaron. And by the way, Aaron, we're up against a football game, but we have a decent amount of live viewers tonight. So thank you, NoDQ Galaxy, for coming to show your support during football playoff season. But Aaron's like,
You're welcome.
playoffs.
You're welcome, guys. You're welcome.
Aaron, go ahead. Speak on this.
Let me speak on this, to quote Conan. I expect her to go to AEW. I feel like WWE is a long shot at this point, but anything's possible. If she shows up at the Royal Rumble, it would be a great surprise. If she doesn't show up at the Royal Rumble, I think that she's going to AEW. I think that's a safe bet at that point. But my gut feeling is she's going to AEW. She can be the star of the division and be the person that they build the whole thing around. In WWE, she might be a top level person like she was before, but is she really going to be in any better of a position than she was before? I do think there's a built-in storyline, and I think we mentioned this before, where she can reunite with Bailey against Damage Control. You have that as a storyline, but is she really going to be in any kind of a better position than she was when she left WWE? That's the question, and I don't know if that's going to be the case. Thus, I feel like AEW might be the destination for her, where she can be the big fish in the pond. She can be the star of the division. So my gut feeling is she's going to AEW, but never say never. Maybe she shows up in the Rumble. I'm not going to get my hopes up on it. I think I'll believe it when I see it type of deal.
See,
JJ?
Aaron, go ahead, JJ.
I feel like it would be hard, though, for her to be big fish in the small pond when she's trying to contend with TV time against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, who should be coming back soon. The now signed virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo. You've got timeless Toni Storm doing some of the best stuff of her career over there. You've still got Jamie Hayter, who's getting ready to come back. Much like Okada, I feel like Mercedes will be hot for like 6 months, and then she's going to be in catering. You've got Saraya over there still doing fantastic stuff. Mercedes is going to get lost in that shuffle. Let's give her the TBS title. That'll really placate her ego.
I don't think she'll get lost in the shuffle. I think that she'll end up being the women's champion. And unfortunately, I think the Jamie Hayters and even Saraya, they're going to be pushed aside more than they already are. That's what I think is going to happen. Virtue?
Aaron, do you think there's a possibility? I don't know if AEW would do this, but in Wembley this year, they could have Sasha headline it.
I mean,
I don't know who, but hey, this is it. This is your time. I mean, that could be enticing to her.
Yeah,
if
listen, it's the end of January right now. So if they bring in Mercedes, I feel like they're going to do this Deonna Purrazzo thing with Toni Storm right now, but they keep Toni Storm champion and they build it up for 6 months. They do Wembley. Mercedes wins the world title from Toni Storm in London at Wembley Stadium. That would be I think something big for Mercedes, and that might be enough for her to actually sign a contract. And people are saying maybe that's one of the reasons why she would not go to AEW, because she would have to sign a 5-year contract or whatever, and maybe she doesn't want to do that. But I could see that being the big thing. And yeah, I think she would be the face of the women's division. And unfortunately for some of the others, they might get pushed aside. They might be lost in the shuffle. I don't think it'll be her. I think she'll be the focal point if she goes to AEW. Now, we do have a few more super chats here. First of all, Psycho Jet Black giving a little bit of credit to me. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Check out that special effect right there. That's for you, Psycho Jet Black. Thank you for the super chat.
What happens when you do a thumbs down? Anything?
Thumbs down. Let's see. Just the thumbs down. What about 2 thumbs downs? Let's see what that. Oh, it's raining. That gets really dark. So apparently, it's something related to the Apple laptops, the iMacs, and that's why I'm able to do the effects and you guys aren't. And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, is Alexa Bliss coming back at the Royal Rumble? I mean, I'd like to see it. I don't know if she's ready to come back yet, but you never know. Like they're quick to come back. You know, they're athletes and they can bounce back pretty quickly. So anything's possible. You know, keep in mind Carmella should be back at some point too. I mean, it would be nice. And you know, if it's the Royal Rumble, they don't have to do a lot. They could come out there and do something for a few minutes and then come back full time when they're ready. You know, just come back for the Rumble pop. A couple months ago, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think she's at least about 3 months at this point removed from having her kid.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't speak for her, but I mean, maybe she can bounce back fast enough and come in and do a couple minutes, and then you know if she needs to take off more time, then so be it. I mean, I would not rule it out.
I figure we had Nia Jackson last year's Rumble, and then she didn't officially like come back on the roster till like September.
Right.
So
this guy Experience sent in a $2 super chat. This is to you, JJ. Says Becky Lynch is overrated. Sasha and Bayley tag team champions. What do you think about that?
I mean, if I'm being honest, I'm tired of seeing all of the 4 horsewomen in title pictures. You know, so I agree that Becky is a tad overrated, but I want to see the younger talent. Let's let Kaden and Katana do their thing. Let's push Alba and Isla. Let's push Candice and Indy. You know, we don't need Bayley and Sasha as tag champs.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it happening for a feel-good moment if Mercedes comes back, you know, just to have them as faces this time since they were heels for their last run. But you never know. Psycho Jet Black.
You have to have them together and tear them back apart. That's just how it works.
I mean, exactly. That's how it goes in the world of WWE. Now, Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, me versus Okada for the Rain Man gimmick. There you go. 2 thumbs down for that one. Thank you for the super chat, Psycho Jet Black. And he sent in another one. So Psycho Jet Black definitely back in business tonight. He says, any chance of Gail Kim coming to the Royal Rumble?
God, no.
I mean, I wouldn't say there's no chance, but I would be very surprised to see it happen. Like, I'm not expecting it whatsoever.
I said, listen to Vince McMahon's. Oh, go ahead, JJ.
I was going to say, under normal circumstances, I'd probably say no. But at the same time, did any of us realistically think we'd see Mickie James come back to the Royal Rumble as the Knockouts champion after being sent her clothes in a trash bag?
Yeah, it's true.
So Gail Kim coming back's not that far-fetched. I'm just saying.
And it is the Triple H era, which I think maybe that makes the chances a little
CM Punk's
better than before.
back in WWE. That makes everything possible.
The partner.
He could very well put her in the Hall of Fame, and that would bring her back to the Royal Rumble at least to appear in that. So
instead of saying no chance in hell, we'll say
with TNA now.
We'll say some chance in hell.
All right, we got a few more super chats. Actually, we got one more here from Blake Riley, and then we can get to our main topic here as we approach 1 hour. Blake said, just saw the Iron Claw movie, and I'm not one to cry, but it nearly got me at the end. I still haven't seen it. Has anybody here seen that movie?
I haven't seen it yet either.
What kind of wrestling fans are we?
Soon.
Yeah, I mean,
I've been at work, so I haven't been able to. But the second I'm able to take any time off, I'm going to check out that movie probably twice.
There you go. I mean, I wanted to see it in the theater, but other stuff was going on, and you know, I hope it comes out on streaming soon. I've heard nothing but good things about it, other than the guy that did Ric Flair's impression. That was apparently not up to par. But other than that, people really liked the movie. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. And Mr. Tito sent in a $2 super chat. Says, what are the chances of Demolition going into the Hall of Fame in 2024? I hope they're good. I mean, this is a real test for the Triple H era. You know, if he's in charge, like people are saying he is, then I mean, people have been wanting to see Demolition in for years, and I think they're long overdue.
Would all three get inducted as one, or just Axe and Smash?
I mean, Crush really didn't do much in the group, but I'd like to see Crush go in just because he had a cool gimmick and he had that mullet. So yeah, and I liked his finisher. So yeah, why not? Why not do all three? Throw Mr. Fuji in there too. I know he's already in, but throw him in there as part of the group too. They're just a badass faction. But Matthew says just Axe and Smash. Either way, regardless of who's in it, I would like to see it 100%.
I definitely think they deserve it. I just would want an ECW class this year since they're in Philly.
Would make sense. Paul Heyman.
Yeah, Heyman should definitely headline.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Have a whole bunch of Heyman guys doing testimonials. I'd love that.
Yeah.
Ready for the main event?
Let's do it.
Seth Rollins injured versus Jinder Mahal's knee. Looks like he's got some tears, some injuries. Now, he's no stranger to knee injuries heading into WrestleMania, and I believe he still pulled it off against Triple H in Dallas, if I'm correct, or whoever, that WrestleMania. So with some time left, it's still a possibility, but it's a concern when you have tears in your knee that plans could be changed because of this. So what does everybody think? I mean, we're just going based on what we know. We'll probably get some more information on Raw tomorrow if they decide to address this, and we'll see what's going on. But go ahead, JJ, because we've all been kind of building ourselves up for CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for WrestleMania. Go ahead, JJ. Seth gets hurt.
Well, when I heard the type of injury, I went to Google and I, looked up like what the recovery time is for this type of injury. And it basically goes anywhere for about 4 to 8 weeks, depending on, how things heal. So it's very possible he could still be back in time for WrestleMania. But does WWE want to take that chance that he won't be? I don't think so. So they're supposed to be having him come out to kick off Raw tomorrow to address his future. I say you have Damian Priest cash in, attack Seth Rollins, take the title off of him. Then they've already announced that Priest is supposed to be fighting Drew later on in the evening. Now that becomes a title match. I'm not necessarily a fan of hot-shotting belts like that and hot potatoing. Have somebody from Judgment Day, R-Truth doing his thing. There's been tension in the past between Finn and Priest. Have somebody from Judgment Day accidentally cost Priest the title to Drew. Now Drew's got the championship. Drew versus Punk isn't a bad backup plan. And if Seth is healthy enough that he can come back a couple of Raws before Mania and be like, I want my rematch. I never lost it, and make it a 3-way. And have it Punk versus Drew versus Seth at Mania.
Yeah, I mean, take the safe bet. And that's the thing, too. With, Rollins' match with Triple H back when there was some uncertainty into that WrestleMania, I'm sure it's different. He wasn't a champion, correct? That was just a grudge match with Triple H. Am I correct on that?
I believe so. That was during my hiatus from watching, so I didn't
Aaron, I'm correct on that, right? When Seth Rollins wrestled Triple H at WrestleMania, he went into that WrestleMania with a knee injury.
Yeah, he got hurt, I think late January or early February, and then he was out for about 2 months, and he barely made it, but he did make it back in time.
But there was no title, nothing now. So this is interesting, with the title. Yeah. They could, like JJ said, want to take the safe route, take that title off of him. Walter, what do you think?
JJ's got a good scenario, but my gut feeling is I think he was going to make it. If everybody keeps saying if Roman doesn't have to defend every single week or every month, then why does Seth have to? So I think you let him rest up. and get healed and be on time for WrestleMania. My gut feeling is that he'll make it, and we'll still get the Punk versus Seth main event. So I'm not sure, but then again, part of me is like, then why is Seth opening Raw? Like that gives me that feeling about that cash in. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, my gut feeling, I think Seth just stays the champion and holds off till WrestleMania so we can get that. Then he'll lose to Punk in the main event, and then he'll take as much time as he needs. And if he needs a second surgery because he re-aggravates it during the main event, then that's what's going to happen, because it's something about WrestleMania that fuels these people. It's like, look at Cena, look at Triple H. Like it's like they got to make it to Mania. There's something, they don't care what is ailing them. They don't care. They put everything, they throw it out of the window, and they just go balls to the wall at WrestleMania and screw it. Whatever happens after. But I'm gonna go all out to get to Mania. So I just feel like, mostly we know it's the pay, but they don't like gypping fans. It's WrestleMania is like the bow to like all the stories. They want to wrap everything up, and then they hit the reset button after. So I think Seth makes it to Mania, but I don't mind JJ's plan either as a backup. That'd be pretty good. I wouldn't mind Drew versus Punk as a backup
Walter,
plan.
Someone said Rollins is fragile. I know he had the one knee injury. He missed some time. And then the knee, again versus Triple H, but he still got through that. He's been pretty durable since then, if I can recall, right? I mean,
yeah,
much a workhorse and everything during
much.
his lengthy 10-year WWE career already. So, yeah, I don't think he's fragile. I mean, he's gotten hurt, but a lot of wrestlers have gotten hurt. So
they all get hurt. They do this day in, day out.
Go ahead, Jerry, and your thoughts on the injured Seth Rollins.
Okay, I usually don't give kudos, but JJ, great booking. I like JJ's whole idea, because at this point we don't really know the super severity of Seth Rollins' injury until tomorrow night when he actually makes the announcement. It could be a lot worse. He could just be making light of the situation just to throw people off of it. But my thing is, at this point, you really don't need to have the belt in question when it comes to CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins could have walked out of that and done that promo with CM Punk without the belt, and the heat in that ring would have been insane regardless. These two legit hate each other, or at least Seth really legit hates CM Punk. So why not have, if Seth is still not fully medically cleared to wrestle, but he can still appear at ringside possibly, have CM Punk be one of the last people in the Rumble, and have have him low bridge and him topple over the ring, have Punk topple over the ropes and get cost his world title match at WrestleMania. Because then you set up the whole the program between Seth Rollins and CM Punk. Awesome video packages, and probably a show-stealing performance out of both of them at WrestleMania that sets up for one of them to become number one contender for a title afterwards. I'd be just as fine with that, because then you could have your you have Drew McIntyre actually have the run he should have had with the belt during the quarantine era in front of a crowd. He gets to actually perform at WrestleMania as champion in front of a crowd of people, and that would be phenomenal. I would love that. And maybe it's him versus Orton, maybe it's him versus somebody else. I don't care. I like the idea of Drew McIntyre as champion, especially if he's in the mode he is right now, which is he's got something to prove that he didn't get to prove while all of us having to pretty much participate from wrestling on our TV set and on computer screen. He wants to show that he can draw money. He wants to show the company he can, carry them. So give the guy the ball. Give him that belt, because the whole idea, Walter, and this is what the whole is like, oh, they're letting Roman take off television. They made that belt so we actually have a champion on television. We need some sort of world champion.
Yeah.
We don't need a whole bunch of mid-card titles being the main focal point of the show. Gunther do a fantastic job as champion, but it's not his job to run this company at this point. He's supposed to be the gateway that leads to the world championship, but even then, he's like an unstoppable gateway at this point, and it's perfect, and I love it. But Seth Rollins, if he's injured and can't be on television to defend the title that's considered the secondary world title, it's pointless. It's better to go ahead and give it to Damian Priest for a little bit, or just have it bounce over to Drew McIntyre. As long as we actually have a champion on television that the people are actually going after and actively going for the title, I'm much happier about that. The whole idea of them, just letting Seth grapple onto the belt for another 2 months or 2 or 3 months until they're able to say, hey, he can wrestle again. It's just the same as having Roman off television for a quarter of a year. It's going to get old very, very quickly. It's going to make the belt even less relevant versus actually building up some sort of lineage to it. So
get it off of him while he's hurt, right?
Yeah, might as well. Let the guy recover. And then you go, like I said, you still set a program between him and CM Punk, and it'll still be straight fire. It'll be fantastic television. Like Dean Malenko versus Chris Jericho is still one of my favorite feuds ever done on in WCW, or probably ever. And Dean Malenko wasn't even on television for a better part of a year. When he returned, the pop for him as Ciclope was huge. One of the biggest pops in WCW history. That's the kind of pop that Seth Rollins, Seth Rollins probably going to get when he shows back up and cost CM Punk the Royal Rumble match. That's when you build Seth as the heel in that thing and actually get more sympathy put back on CM Punk.
There you have it. All righty. Aaron, over to you. And I don't know if any more super chats came in, but here we are, 9:11 p.m. Eastern.
Walter, did you want to add to that?
I just want to add to JJ. What else I like about JJ's scenario is if you screw Damian Priest out of the title, at an added bonus, you might get Balor versus Priest at WrestleMania, and I'm down for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, lots of interesting ideas you guys brought up. Now, real quick, the This Guy Experience sent in a $5 super chat, so thank you for that. Much appreciated. Give you the heart as a thank you for the super chat. There you go. This is why I say drop the open challenge gimmick and have some more title changes. Seth should have lost it to Nakamura. Do the bad back storyline was a great out. Okay, he was never going to lose to Nakamura. That was a filler program. The original idea was CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, and we may still get that at WrestleMania, depending on how quickly Seth Rollins can come back from it. They're going to have to make the judgment call, not Judgment Day, but WWE will have to make the call. Will Rollins be able to come back at time? They could have a backup plan. Now, here's the thing for Monday's Raw that's very interesting to me. Seth Rollins has always claimed to be a fighting champion. Now, it would not make sense for his character to go out there and say, I'm just going to chill till WrestleMania and then I'll defend my title. Like, he's the type of guy that's going to go out there and say, I'm a fighting champion, and since I cannot defend this title, I'm going to do the right thing for business and relinquish it. And then we have several options. And JJ mentioned the possibility of Damian Priest cashing in, which I really like that idea, and then having a world title match in the main event. Like, to me, that feels like an old school Attitude Era Raw where anything can happen. Like that would be interesting for sure. And then another option is maybe Rollins says the winner of the Royal Rumble is going to be the new World Heavyweight Champion, and that could be how you get to The Rock versus Roman Reigns. If The Rock's not going to be in the Rumble, you have CM Punk win the Rumble. He's the champion, and then you can have The Rock come in and challenge Roman Reigns the Universal Championship. That's a way you can get to that. So there's a lot of different ways it can go. And of course, you could put the title on the line in Elimination Chamber too. That's an option. There's lots of different ways this can go. But my feeling is Rollins will probably relinquish the title. I just think that makes the most sense for his character. And then if he's good to go, you do the match. If not, you have a backup plan. And, could be Damian Priest as the backup plan. Could be any number of people in that role. Drew McIntyre. You could have a lot of different backup plans for a world title match. And we'll see what they do. And in the Vince McMahon era, they would always take a negative and turn it into a positive. And maybe that's something they can do here. Take a bad situation and create more intrigue and elevate the title despite having to do this thing where it's relinquished. We'll see what they come up with, but I'm definitely thinking that they can salvage this and get to WrestleMania and everything will be just fine. I mean, I think it'll work out in the end, and it sucks for Seth Rollins to be so close to WrestleMania. Hopefully, he'll be able to come back for WrestleMania. I mean, that would just be terrible. After everything he did through the entire year, to miss WrestleMania would just be a big shame. But we're all rooting for him, and we'll see what happens.
And he's had plenty of WrestleMania moments, so like it's not, luckily for him, it's not like it's early on in his career with this push and he's missing out a WrestleMania opportunity. I mean, heck, he cashed in against Roman and Brock. He beat Brock at another WrestleMania. So Rollins has had a pretty good WrestleMania career so far. But remember, I mean, even the one he had the whole time he didn't know his opponent, and then it was Cody Rhodes. Even though he put Cody Rhodes over, he reestablished Cody Rhodes in WWE on the grand stage of them all. So Seth Rollins is a mini Mr. WrestleMania, if you want to look at it that way. Mm-hmm. And didn't he beat Triple H at WrestleMania too?
Yeah, he's done a lot. He's had a lot of great moments.
Any other super chats, Aaron, before we go around and do our plugs? That's all I got.
We're all good to wrap it up.
Nice. Another great show, gentlemen. Any last words? Go ahead, JJ. It's good to have you on.
Well, thank you for having me here. You can always check me out on social medias. I have my own YouTube wrestling review show, For the Love of Wrestling. The graphics is every Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. I am also currently doing Impact on Fridays. Might be a limited time, might go further than that. I made a deal with a friend. She's watching NXT. I'm watching Impact, giving it a try now that it's the TNA era once again. You can check out Jeff and I doing Dad's Not Always on Wrestling on Tuesday. The top 10 tag teams of the 21st century, immediately following Stat Boy Sports Bar. And then Royal Rumble coverage this weekend. Simply Predicting with Noah Foster, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern on Friday. And, of course, the watch-along coverage across the Jeff Meacham Network and the Multiverse of Media, kicking off at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern.
All right, JJ. Like I said, always good to have you on. You're always welcome back. Same with you, Jerry. You are welcome. Thanks, and thanks to Jerry as well. Jerry, you always come on once in a blue moon, and it makes our day. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. First off, I want to thank everybody in the chat for all the love throughout the show. That was really cool. Thanks to Cleaver, Colin Andrews, Noah Foster. We miss you on these shows too. Joe_JSJ for my Twitter, and also for my Facebook group, we have Armbar, all capital ARMBAR ! Join us over there. Don't try to add me as a friend on Facebook. I'll let you directly talk to me. It's not going to happen. Otherwise, it's always a joy to have you on, be on here. This has been a little bit longer of a show, but it hasn't really felt like one because the conversation flowed so well and you guys are so insightful. So I'm glad to have been taking part in this one. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And of course, the reliable one, Walter Cruz, and I think it's making his ego bigger and bigger, but that's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Walter.
No, I always have my ego in check. I don't have an ego. So
you have a stick.
Exactly. I stick to the stick, not the ego. But on the X, for Walter Alex Cruz, on the Instagram, Cow Fire Farms, if you're into that kind of stuff, And of course, on my own YouTube, which I'm starting to build, is the Rage of Wrestling. And as always, thanks for having me up here. Good to be seen and good to see everyone.
All right. Thank you. And of course, Aaron Rift, who's just having so much fun with his iMac or whatever.
God.
Go ahead, Aaron.
iMacs are doing some amazing things.
Do the DX thing and see if green streams come out of nowhere.
Nothing yet, although we get the confetti if I do the double peace sign. There you go. Some confetti for you. NoDQ.com will keep you posted. Royal Rumble, I'm excited. It's arguably the biggest show of the year next to WrestleMania, and it's certainly one of the most exciting. And I'll be doing live coverage on Saturday, and then I'll be back afterwards with the recap. And then next Sunday, we'll be back with the NoDQ review once again. That will be going up against football, but it's after the Royal Rumble, so we're going to have some significant topics to discuss heading into WrestleMania. Tune in for that. You could have football on in the background or something, but make sure you tune in live, and then we'll probably take off Super Bowl Sunday. We'll let football. We'll give them some extra ratings. We'll step back for them, and we'll come back on a Tuesday or whenever. We'll figure it out. Just stay tuned for the NoDQ updates, and that's all I got. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jerry, JJ, Walter, and of course the moderator, Virtue, who's been doing this now for like 265 episodes. El Virtuoso filled in a couple of times, but he's been here pretty much the entire time. And there you go, Virtue. A little heart for you for all your work over the years. Thank you. And that's it for tonight.
And we'll make this short and sweet. X.com, formerly known as Twitter. Go follow me if you dare at NoDQ_Virtue. And NoDQ.com/merch. The whole Virtue collection is there. And all the great NoDQ shirts and NoDQ personality shirts. Go check it out. But this has been the NoDQ Review 269. I am the moderator, Virtue, for Aaron Rift, Jerry Slaughter, JJ Williams, Walter Cruz, and the whole NoDQ crew and Galaxy, Colin Cleaver, Andrew, Mr. Tito, everybody, even you, Josh Mansfield. Good night, everybody. We'll see you again next time.
Stupendous.